So once again, who are the immortals?
Yes.
That this book's talking about.
Well, one of the things that really has always bothered me after studying theology in seminary now is this term angel, because it really is a Greek word, angelos, and it means messenger. But what we see in Scripture are not just messengers. So that's a job description, not really a type of being. We talked about that a little bit on the other show.
Yeah, I like
But in Psalm 148, we see that he hath established them forever and ever. Okay, it's talking about Malach, the angels. And then a more interesting passage and more controversial would be to look at Psalm 82. And I'm just going to read a couple lines.
Yes.
Psalm 82, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth amongst the gods. Gods? Little g gods is what that says. Now, I'm not going to read the whole psalm, but if you skip down, God is judging these gods for mismanaging their people. He said, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Now, how would it make sense to die like men if they were men? Okay, that sentence would make no sense whatsoever.
Right.
So that means they're immortals. Okay, and the difference would be God is eternal in that he has no beginning. These are created beings, so they're not eternal. They had a beginning, but they're immortal. They're not supposed to die. But these fallen angels who have mismanaged their job description and abused the people who they were supposed to take care of had been sentenced to die like men. So I think immortal is a more apt description of these other divine beings than angel, because not all of them are
That
messengers.
never die.
Right. Well, and the watchers who fell down, Peter and Jude both describe them as being contained under the surface of the earth. Again, we're talking about the earth is much more dynamic than people understand, much more connected to prophecy. And they are under the surface of the earth waiting for the day of judgment. Now, there is an extra biblical book. It's actually in some Orthodox versions of the Bible. It's called the Book of Enoch. Certainly was read by the disciples. It's quoted by the disciples actually in the New Testament, but through a series of events we didn't, but it got decanonized, so it's not included in the Bible most of us AG people use today. But Enoch not only, you remember in yesterday's program, and I read from the Septuagint version.
Now tell us what that is again. Would you please?
The Septuagint is called the Apostles' Bible because around 200 years or so before the time of Christ, the average Jew didn't speak Hebrew anymore, but they had a Hebrew Bible. And so the Greek king of Egypt, Ptolemy II, wanted them to have a Bible in their language, which at that time was Koine Greek. And so he got the 70 top Hebrew scholars in the world, brought them together. They translated the Hebrew Old Testament into Greek, which became known as the Septuagint. And so at the time of Christ, and actually for hundreds of years following that, that was the Bible, the Septuagint. That was the Bible that the disciples and Jesus read. Paul quotes from the Septuagint in the New Testament. But then in 1851, Sir Lancelot Brenton translated the Greek Septuagint into English so we could read the same Bible that the disciples had read, the Old Testament. And then 160 years later, this Guy and Crane of all places. What is it with Blue Eye and Crane and all these little places? Why would God choose these little old Bethlehem, choose these little bitty places to cause this stuff to happen? But anyway, I put it back into print. So that's that Bible.
That's awesome. I love this. Yeah. I want one of these.
you want to go ahead with
Well,
that?
but if you read in the Septuagint, Isaiah 13, he has a prophecy in which he says that at the end of time, when the complete destruction of Babylon occurs and these wars that are coming up with Islam and all that, that a commander, a ruler, I don't know who this ruler is. Is it an angel? Is it God? He just says, open the gates, ye ruler, I give command, and I bring them. Giants are coming to fulfill my wrath. And then it goes on to describe, before the end of that chapter, other like monstrosities, like satyrs, half-goat, human-like beings, all these things coming up out of the earth that are going to be part of this great tribulation period, part of this great judgment. Now, here's why I brought up the book of Enoch.
Okay.
Enoch gives the same prophecy. Enoch chapter 10, Enoch chapter 15. Read those chapters. He too says they're bound under the surface of the earth. In fact, I'll read it to you. He says, the spirits of the giants shall be concealed, and shall not rise up against the Son of Men and against women until they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. He then, though, goes on to say this. Enoch says when it's going to happen. He says it's going to happen 70 generations after the flood. So if you know when the flood occurred, and what is a generation? Well, a generation based on Psalms 90:10 is 70 years. So you would literally say, if I knew when the flood happened, I could go 70 generations of 70 years, which is 4,900 years, right? Well, the most recent statistics, in fact, there's scientific groups that are working on this. They're called the Holocene Impact Group because they think a meteor hit the earth and that's what caused the flood, because they have evidence of a great flood. They date this to 4,800 to 4,900. They date this to 2,800 to 2,900 BC. What am I saying all these numbers for? Bottom line is, if that is when the flood happened, you count 4,900 years later, it brings you to 2015, 2016, 2017. It brings you to right now when Enoch says those gates are going to open and the giants are going to come out.